Hello and welcome to Progressive Mindset, the podcast that is the place for entrepreneurs looking to expand both their mind as well as their business. I am Jason Kemsley.
And I'm Bradley Monday. So we're in a different location today. We've taken the podcast on tour for a little bit. And today we're going to start with the power of no.
And just before we jump into that, and we done one not so recently as well, we've got to give a bit of context because for those that like listening or maybe even watching, we have not uploaded in what must now be 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
It's been a little while, been a very busy period, right?
It has, and it's important we share with you sort of why, because, you know, like any leader, you get busy or something happens. We actually, throughout the last 6-9 months, have been working on some M&A, which is merger and acquisition, for those that aren't familiar, news. And we were able to share 1st September that we had acquired a business and what that entails, and we'll talk about it more in another episode. But it meant that we had some crazy weeks of late evenings, early mornings, followed by a trip overseas to 5 different countries I ended up going to. You ended up visiting 3.
It's been it's been one of those. It's been very exciting. It's been, you know, equally as draining. It's, you know, there's just so much that goes into it, and it's meant that our efforts have had to be elsewhere. But of course, we're back. We love doing the podcast. We love sharing what's going on, and I think as we get through that process, we'll probably talk about that more in future episodes as well.
This is going to give us so much new knowledge and new insights that we can share, and hopefully take you a bit along that journey of what it's like to go and start trying to fix things in a new company or learn about things or
agree.
look forward to it. But this is where this comes from.
Yeah, and that's what I love about this podcast is we're not sat here saying that we're the experts in everything that we talk about. We are literally just 2 individuals that are going through, you know, journeys that many people out there are going through, that have started businesses at various different stages, and we're just sharing what we've got going on and the learnings that we've had, so that people don't fall foul of the same mistakes that we've made and can learn from things. So that's what we're doing. And yeah, so it's back to the subject at hand and the power of no. Having those awkward conversations, as I've shared in previous episodes, is something that I've always been comfortable with.
Easy.
Saying that's not going to work, we can't deliver on that, those kind of things, it comes very comfortable to me. But I've certainly observed that even as your business gets bigger and maybe you learn to be able to say no, the people that are on the front line of your business talking to your customers experience the same human association with, I don't want to disappoint.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I think this is a human level psychology issue, might be the wrong word, but definitely if you went out in public, or I suspect there's a big general problem with just saying no. I know I do it sometimes. Hey Jason, do you want to do this on this date? Probably should say no, it's not a good idea. But it's easier to say yes because I don't want to disappoint them.
Yeah.
Their feelings matter to me, etc. So I guess to touch upon why you would say no as a good sort of entry point.
Yeah.
Saying no can be as powerful as saying yes. Right? To jump into?
Yeah, I fully agree. If it's something that you can't, you know, deliver wholly on, then you just shouldn't be saying yes to it. And there's lots of information out there about using no to protect your time. I think we're coming at this from a slightly different angle. This isn't a time thing. There's loads of information out there about that. This is about ensuring that what you're signing yourself up for, you can definitely deliver on, and you're not going to disappoint down the line.
Absolutely. Which is something that, when you get into the enterprise space, happens consistently, right? Is if I call Microsoft and say I want this, and it's not something they do, they can't do it. They don't do it. They have very rigid.
Yeah.
And arguably that's possibly how they've even reached that point, is they go, this is what we do, this is what we have set processes to do, this is what we can do consistently, time and time again.
Yep.
Everything else is a no because I just don't even know who I'd speak to make that happen.
I agree.
But bring that into SME world, there's a preconceived idea that to grow, to be good, to be helpful, you should say yes to everything.
And that's something that I wanted to touch on is many of us start our businesses. If we are starting, grassroots businesses from the ground up, you want to bring on those customers. You've possibly just left a job, or you've taken big risks to start your business. So the first thing you do is, what have I got to say to bring that, to bring money into my small enterprise? And so you just start saying yes to everything, whether it's in your wheelhouse or not. That's very, very common. We did it.
Yep.
We've still got some contracts within our business today that we said yes to and continue to be, troublesome. And you have to try and manage those out later. But so I wouldn't necessarily say it's always about saying no, but your business gets to a point of, okay, you've overcome that. I can pay the mortgage this month. I can feed my family. Now we should start looking at what's right. And this is a pricing thing. People will, again, going back to, they don't ask Microsoft for discount because
know the answer.
They just know the answer already. Whereas as a small business, and usually being asked by another small business owner, we don't want to pay any more than we have to. And so people are going to try and take advantage almost of that size. So if we talk around pricing for a bit, you're going to get asked for some discount. And
pricing's a big one, right? It's so obvious to me, but maybe not others, that if you're trying to work with a supplier, for example, say it's a cleaning company, and you ask for X amount of discount and they give you that, I would suggest they're not very confident in what they do. They don't value themselves, so why should I value them? It's a very weird paradigm shift depending on what side of the table you sit on. But asking for discount means I don't value that service, maybe. Or if you then give discount, I've been in scenarios where I've said, no, unfortunately, we have one price. That's it. I don't know what the consistency level is, but quite often the reaction is, I actually quite like that. I respect that. You clearly know what it costs to do a good job or to deliver the level that you want to deliver. And so that we don't want to get into sales tactics, but talking about power shift, etc. When you don't offer discount, the power sits. You hold the keys, so to speak, and you're the valuable service. Very similar to Apple. Doesn't matter where you go in the world, Apple is the same price. If I go to Apple store, if I go to my local technology reseller, it's all one price, and they value themselves.
Yeah, and it's one thing I think we're going to see reoccurring in this conversation is respect and rapport that saying no builds. And that's what we're talking about there, right? There's that immediate, okay, they know who they are, they know what they're delivering, and there's respect for that. They might not be able to afford it, and they might still end up going elsewhere, but
you'll part ways on good terms.
Yeah, and they're there. They know that, hey, if that discounted service they went to didn't deliver, they know where to go because, hey, if I do pay the money that I'm supposed to pay, these guys that wouldn't drop the pants, so to speak, to win my business are probably going to deliver what I need.
And taking it one step away from price, the person engaging with you is engaging with you because you are the expert in that field, which means you know what is required or what it costs to deliver that service that you're advertising. They don't.
Yeah.
And so saying no, not just in terms of price, it could be, hey, could we do this? No. Hey, could we start cleaning this thing in our office, going back to cleaning service? That's your opportunity to go, no, I wouldn't clean that material because of X, Y, Z. If you say yes and you then break that material, well, they're going to expect you to replace it. Or so that there's a huge change in you are the expert, and so saying no maintains you as an expert. You don't get an electrician, a plumber that will just try and do something. They're not going to say yes to putting in a pipe that just doesn't physically go.
Yeah. And I think you've transitioned there into the second part of this is being able to manage the delivery of whatever you've sold with no is equally as important, as you've said. And where I've seen inevitably you're going to either disappoint the customer, or you're going to say no later down the line. I think they're probably the
or sorry later down the line.
or sorry later down. You know, as we're talking about, having these bespoke things that we've signed up to that just don't cost us more now than it takes to deliver. You end up saying, hey, that's not working for me anymore. And you transition it out. So there's disappointment, and I've always found that the longer it takes for you to deliver that message, the more disappointment. If we take that latter example, we might be years into a contract now. Yeah, I'm really sorry, we can't deliver that anymore. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit our set of services. It's like, well, hang on a minute. Why are you inconveniencing me for something you could have told me years ago didn't work? And going back to rapport and respect, if you say to someone, actually, we don't do it like that, as you were alluding to, we do it this way because this is
being the key word.
Yeah, because and absolutely, and it doesn't have to be. We associate no with negativity.
Yeah,
actually, hey, we don't do it like that because we think this is a better way to achieve that end goal. You haven't actually said no. I didn't say no in that sentence, and so you can say no and be very powerful in your rejection of something without actually using those words that have negative connotations.
Absolutely.
So I guess education, in terms of, one, we need to get over that as a business leader, because I think that's something you learn over a period of time, and quite often you'll learn it from making mistakes.
You get burnt,
right? And so this, as we opened up the podcast with, this is us sort of saying, hey, we've been there, we've learned from this.
I've knowingly said yes sometimes, knowing it's going to come and bite me. But I had to get burnt enough times that I realised the value of saying no.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the instant gratification. It's kind of it's the reverse of that, right? It's, you don't want to feel that negative.
You don't want to disappoint now, but I will in 2
so
years.
We'll do it later because, hey, I've pushed it along. So the sooner we get there, actually, if we word it in the right way and we learn, we know how we do things.
Yep.
Then I think it doesn't feel so negative. You build respect, you build rapport, and it might not be right now for your customer, but they will come back. They'll ask you for future things to see whether,
and they'll trust you,
what you are delivering. Absolutely, and gain trust.
I guess just to jump into the power of it in the title, the power of this is that the trust, the respect thing, but also that certainly in the services industry, I would suggest the majority still don't say no.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've seen it in the last couple of weeks, and it's a cultural thing, it's a support thing, there's multiple angles, but just saying no, and this is what we're good at, or we'll do it this way, or whatever that looks like, is still probably a minority of small and medium-sized businesses. Certainly from what I've seen in the services space.
Yeah.
How to jump into this piece? How do you, if someone listening has a culture where they hear this or they see this, or maybe they struggle with it,
mm-hmm.
how do you go about making that shift? Because the only way we had ever made that shift was we had to learn it, and then we had to support that through every single person.
Yeah, and it does. It's that support, and once you've learned it, or practice it, if you're going to take advice from this, having not been burned, and go and try and once you've learned how to deliver those messages, it's about working with your teams to understand why that's a good thing. I think we've had people that resell services that we provide that get very frustrated around the why. Yeah, why are they saying no? We're trying to win business here. This is a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
Why are they saying no? So it's working with those people, usually inside your organisation, to get them to understand and help them. I think if you help them word some of those mails or conversations, I think my experience is you're better off picking up the phone rather than trying to put this in an email, because then you're down to interpretation of the words. How did they mean to say that, and what was the tonality behind it? You get to dictate that by being on the phone. So I think that's a key one, is let's get people to pick up the phone and start talking about the no's, because they can deliver it in a manner that they want to, with all the expression that's needed into, actually, let's do it like this, because that's That's much better. You can back and forth on some questions because they're inevitably going to probe. Well, why do you do it like that? And you can, it gives you that opportunity to share back and forth and leave your customer leaving the conversation with, well, I get it. I might not agree, and that might be right for me, but I get it. I understand it.
Absolutely. And if you are a leader, I was trying to think of a good analogy here. The only one I could come up with is if I'm not a boxer, but I say yes to a boxing fight because it was easier, and I didn't want to disappoint. The end result is I'm getting hurt, or it's not enjoyable, right? So, but that analogy is very similar to business. Is if you know, oh, I should probably say no to this, but I'd like the money, or it's going to come back to a place where you're in a very uncomfortable position, which is 10 times more uncomfortable, painful, whatever it may be, than the original point. And so you have to think about that discomfort to give you the sort of belief and confidence in yourself to say no then.
No, yeah, and getting that through to people is the chat. I think that is the challenge. I don't know whether we've got necessarily all the answers, because different people learn in different ways, and you're going to find staff members that just need to be burned by that. But possibly that's the key. We as leaders learn by making those mistakes because we inevitably experience the pain.
Yep.
I've always been big on, hey, if that person needs to learn that lesson, the only way they learn that lesson is by experiencing the pain that they created. And as your business grows and you've got more departments, sometimes that pain is actually felt by, might be the delivery team. If you've got a salesperson that's said yes when they should have said no, how do they feel that pain?
Yeah. This has to be across the business.
Yeah.
If your processes need to align to this, a salesperson should remain accountable somewhat after they've gone live, or they're now in a contract, and 1 month in, hey, this isn't what you said. Okay, well, let's pull the salesperson onto that call who sold it, so we can work out what happened and when.
Yeah.
This isn't accountability is, we are a team. No one is an individual that then, we don't sell things and then throw it over the fence.
And so a scenario to work through that, I guess, is salesperson has sold something that's not actually part of the service book. It's not what you sell, and then it inevitably goes through to onboarding to go live, and we're going, oh, that's not really that's not what we sell. That's not what we're meant to do. Again, going back to the no is, we've kind of said yes to it now as a collective. We should probably just try and make it work. I would encourage, actually, no one's learned, so you're going to see that again, right? It doesn't matter how much you talk about, well, that wasn't really the right way to do it. Yeah, but that person made commission on that sale, so actually I've been rewarded for my bad effort. It's possibly better to go, yeah, Mr. Sales Individual, I'm really sorry, but you're actually going to need to go back to the customer. You apologise for your mistake and either sell them something that they should, that fits our service, or agree to part ways and we'll cancel that contract.
I feel that discomfort.
They feel the discomfort. You might have a customer that's, not particularly happy, but it's probably better to have one customer that's unhappy, have that salesperson learn, than it is to have handfuls of customers that come through over a period of time that then you're stuck delivering and no one's learned. That's the problem. Is sometimes learning is painful for both the individual and those around them.
Yeah,
but at least it doesn't happen again.
And I guess as an action point to take away for anyone listening, the next time you're in sales conversation is probably the easiest place to just trial this. And you're asked for discount, or you're asked, hey, could you actually do that this way? Try saying no, but with the explanation of, we know what it costs to deliver a great service, or no, for this reason. Make sure that because, or we think, etc. is in there. And then just watch the shift in attitude with the person that you're engaging with. Trial it that way, because for me, that was the little nugget that meant, oh, hold up a second. Actually, I get far better results doing this. And then you have to get the bug, whatever you want to call it, depending on what you do. You
get the better results, but also there is that endorphin rush of, hang on a minute, I've had that positive reaction, and this person is now showing an element of respect. I've only been speaking to them for 30 minutes. This person seems to have an element of respect for me already. That creates good feelings, and actually you can associate your own good feelings with this process as well. And I love the fact that if it doesn't work, try it once. We're not talking about mad business changes here. We're talking about changing individuals. So if it doesn't work, on the next one you can go back to your old ways, right? And you can try something new. We're not saying you've got to change processes and this is going to be ingrained. So it really is something you can try, and then roll it back if for whatever reason it doesn't work.
Absolutely, completely agree. And let us know how you get on if you do say no at any point over the next few weeks. But as we said at the start, we are back to weekly. We are off-site today recording. So we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. And thank you very much for joining us and for your understanding.
Thank you.
Good.